Hey everybody, it's What the Flick, The Leftovers, Season 2, Episode 6, The Lens, or just Lens?
Lens.
Just Lens, or as I thought, just it's the rock throwing episode.
With I Am a Rock as the closing theme. Just to
was it?
Just to put a capper on it, yeah.
There was a musical, the music at the beginning, I found brutally difficult to listen to, and I couldn't wait till the guy knocked on the door and we got to some moment where there was conversation.
It seemed to touch on the nose.
Yeah, it was screechy. I felt it's two bits of music that I've seen in the last few days because I also was fairly mortified no, it's not strong, at the Bond theme.
Oh, okay.
I did not, that song was, I thought, did you like that as a Bond?
I could take it or leave it. I put it in that sort of middle category with like the one Aha did, you know.
What about the laughing at God and they had that Grease remake? What did you think of?
Right, that was super. They had yeah, you're the one that, what was it? It was.
I got chills.
I got chills.
You're the one that I want. Yeah.
That's right. That was weird.
Well, yeah, and being an old fart, I watched the show with the captions on, so you get all the lyrics on the screen. And so it's like, okay, yeah, I get it, show.
I don't know anything about that. So let's talk about the rocks for a second. You guys, as always, picked up way more than I did. I've been out of town and traveling, so I watched 3 this weekend. So some of them may bleed together, but it's a little. So how do they know? Why did what's Regina King's name?
Erica.
Why did Erica throw the rock?
I thought
She was
Erica
paying it
threw
forward.
or paying it back, really, because she throws the rock at the what's
Carrie
her name?
Coon.
Carrie Coon.
Nora.
Yeah, exactly. Nora.
Yeah.
Nora throws the rock at the beginning, which I assumed was because Nora thought that she had sent the people to her, the scientists.
Wait, I missed that. Nora threw the rock?
Yeah,
Nora
it
throws the
starts
rock
with
at the
Nora
beginning.
throwing the
rock.
By the way,
Yeah.
I don't know that we can 1,000,000% confirm that it's it is Nora. You see that she's in the same outfit.
You see Nora,
But
yeah.
you don't see her face, but you then see
But
she's
you see
wearing.
her in a wide.
Yeah, you see her
So-
wide, and then so there's this rock payback. So Nora's, they both have this. Although Regina King's aggressiveness is not passive. Like she's like
It's aggressive.
I threw
Staring through
I
the
threw
window.
that rock. Yes,
And I'm standing
that's
right
me.
here.
That's
But
me. I threw that.
but
rock.
I thought that was her saying, "I know you did it,"
Right, but how would she know she did it?
because I think she figured out after that section where she was like
It's
whizzing
the
her.
punctuation of that amazing scene between the two of them at the
Right.
end, where she's doing the new questionnaire.
But so then, like, I just gotta have some questions answered. So I'm served as the remedial viewer of the leftovers for this. So, in what way, in any capacity, is Nora certain that the kids didn't depart? Like, I don't.
She has to feel. I don't think that it's that she is certain. I think her entire worldview depends on this being a one-time thing that she is not responsible for, and that no one could control.
I think that it is a certain level of denial that is cloaked in professionalism, and as somebody who investigated this stuff for a living, that she's like, oh no, of course it's fake. And
It's great, but she said these questions will prove that it's fake, but then the questions, they prove nothing.
no.
Well, they didn't tell us if they did or didn't.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
Ultimately, we don't
The whole questionnaire thing is so bizarre. I mean, like, it is this weird algorithm, and I don't know exactly what it's supposed to prove. I mean, in season 1, I didn't know what it was supposed to prove. Remember when you had the parents who had the child who was like mentally incapacitated, and they were like, does he speak any other languages, and all that stuff. So that's always been kind of a baffling element.
Yeah, I don't really understand that as a tool in that way. I saw it more as something to deny insurance claim. I mean, that's what it seemed like to me. It was just a way to deny insurance claims.
Right, I think that's right.
Which felt very American.
But I think so much of that scene, though, it's not about the questionnaire per se, but just what they're telling each other with their eyes and stuff. And so I kind of feel like that's the moment where it sort of turns around. It's just a sort of acknowledging that, oh shit, maybe this is a thing. And then the idea of, telling Erica, well, how vain of you to think that you caused it, that you made this happen, when obviously all this stuff is gathering around her that makes her think, that makes Nora think that she's a lens. That's the new term now of people who somehow made other people disappear, which I was just telling Michelle. It's like, oh, what a perfect theory to tap into people's survivor's guilt and narcissism, It's a perfect duo.
Because after we watched that scene, there's an obvious, we paused it, because we're like, that was amazing. And then but then I was totally unable to express why it was amazing. I mean, other than, like well written, well shot, like you just build this tremendous tension, but I don't quite know what we learned.
But isn't it kind of the
it's not
argument?
A criticism. That's just in my own.
I saw it as the argument, the same argument people have about believing in God and not believing in God, almost, in that it's like, it's an argument that says, do you feel better if you had control over it? But the one mom feels better to think that she willed this into being and that it has a positive outcome. And the other feels better to say that this is a completely uncontrollable event that some other force is controlling.
Right, so
and it's like very...
it's like the first lines of this episode, the crazy scientist guy talking about causation and correlation, and that's what this is entirely about. Yes, this happened, but is that a causation or is it just a correlation of events,
Science versus religion.
Yeah, and so I think that for Nora, it's weird watching her do that questionnaire. It's like she's trying on a pair of comfortable old shoes. Like this was her job for so long. But over the course of the interview, this thing emerging of like, oh shit, maybe there's something to this, where at the same time I think Erica is sort of like, oh shit, maybe there isn't something to this. Like they start at opposite poles and kind of start moving in each other's direction
maybe even
over the course of the conversation.
All right, I want to get back to the scientist guy, but I got to talk about sexism for a second because I am supremely guilty of it. I
thought Erica was a nurse?
Thought Erica
Me
was
too.
A nurse. 100%.
I will cop to it. I totally
100%.
thought she was a nurse this whole time.
Even when she was taking out the bullet of John, I was like, well, they can't go to a doctor because he's like, whatever. No. So she's a good enough. She's such a great nurse. Yeah. And then they're like, doctor, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh no! Oh, what is wrong with me?
No, I did the same thing.
A great thing about the show is that they don't do that at all. Because none of the women characters are so well written.
Yeah, but I think it's designed to fuck with people like Ben and me, who would immediately think, oh, woman in scrubs, nurse,
woman in scrubs.
I kind of always thought she was a doctor.
Of course you did.
Well, yes.
You've progressed beyond 1726.
No, there was
a time when Alonso and I would have been happy.
there was a definite. Sometimes it's hard being a woman undercurrent to this whole episode.
Yeah,
like in the way they and all the stuff they were kind of cutting between. It was like, oh yeah, she's dealing with this, she's dealing with that, she's dealing with this. Like they've all got their
and also to some extent, I think in Kevin's insistent conversation with Nora, like I have to tell you this right now. And she's like, not right now. And he's like, no, it doesn't matter what's happening with you right now.
No.
I have to tell you this right now.
When I feel like they don't deal with, when women have problems in this show, they're just problems. They're not lady problems. Like they never,
sure. Yeah, that's true.
They don't make it into, which I mean, we did the one for True Detective, which was very much, it's a lady problem or it's real problems. Right. This is a great.
Except, maybe to some extent they're lady problems, I think, but they're giant lady problems. They're lady problems in the sense of when your partners are not fulfilling their end of a bargain. Like in some ways, John and Kevin are children. Kevin has an imaginary friend and sleepwalks, and John is a child and is in no way doing the right things to take care of that family in any way.
Or for the right reasons.
But Kevin last season had a wife who did the exact same thing.
Totally.
So at least they're hitting it on a lot of levels. But I can see that. For sure.
Do we think Kevin's son has been...
Tommy?
Yeah, has been...
well, not Kevin's son, just Lori's son, Kevin's stepson. Right? Kevin is not the father of Tommy.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry.
It's all right. But no, I think he had the fight with her and
skedaddled.
Skedaddled, yeah.
I'm interested to see where, because there's so much, like, especially with that baby and all the things that are in his past with that cult, I'm interested to see where he is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some possibility that he ran to the cult, because he did say, look, they have answers. Those people are...
Well, it's weird.
Remember?
To the white people.
To the guilty remnant.
Yeah, the guilty remnant.
Oh, no. Well,
he was in the other.
Yeah, that maybe. But I mean, I would think after them beating him up and raping him, essentially, that maybe he wouldn't go running back to them. But who knows on this show?
But it was after that he said they have answers.
Right. But then I was going to say the last time we saw them was the two of them sort of kind of starting to create their own cult in a way, you know, or at least giving people an explanation.
The last time we saw them was their fight, wasn't it?
That episode ends with her telling the story in the selective way to sort of make it sound like they had a solution to all this stuff. Remember?
Oh, right. That ends with him saying, "Oh yeah, you got to give them
give them a story," and he's like, "Yes," ending her.
Okay,
but maybe he gets uncomfortable. Yeah. I don't even want to. I'm so excited to find out
maybe he did depart. Oh man!
And the whole thing about did they die or did they depart? That was like, wow, no one's really said that on this show yet. And that was very cool.
And then so let's get back to the scientists, because that was we're led to believe with the caller ID blocked calls that it's something, you know, smart and reputable, and the scientist, he refers to him, he's a great scientist, but no people skills. And then she drops the demon Azrael on it. Yeah, which seemed to comfort Nora. I
think that was when she realized, oh, you are entirely ridiculous. Like,
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah,
right. So a sense of, I don't have to
deal with you.
Right.
Okay, but we were, Amir and I were having a discussion about this, and like, she is holding the baby at that point. So they take this reading and they say it's the demon Azrael, and that baby is the baby of this weird cult leader. I'm just saying, nothing's off the table in this show.
True, absolutely. I mean, I think what's interesting is that you have, you know, you remember when this show started, the very first episode was 2 years after the event, and there was a whole like congressional study that handed down, we have no idea.
Right.
And so here, however X plus years have passed now, and they're still trying to find answers. Even Scientific American is running these articles about lensing, which no one can necessarily, people question the credibility on that one too, but obviously people are so starved for explanation in the way that viewers of this show are starved for explanation when they should just let it go. That people are willing to provide those answers, even if those answers are loony and involve the devil.
Isn't it crazy how,
Azrael.
just numbers, isn't it crazy how 2% of the world's population is 120 million people? Sometimes I think 2%. Why is everybody making such a fuss?
You're like, I know some people who could have.
Right, and then you're like, oh, it's 120 million people. All right, well, that's the thing.
That adds up.
That's the thing. Yeah, that adds up.
What about the bird?
Yeah,
what about the bird in the box?
The bird in
the bird in the box gets explained this week, but I mean, explained, and that, you know, we understand the context of it, what it actually means. Heaven only knows. But the idea that what her grandmother said, that you could bury a bird in a box, and 3 days later, if you could make a wish on it, if it was still alive, the wish would come true. And so there was that moment early on. I mean, you know, I want to go back and watch our original recast. We're like, well, who's the lady in the wedding dress, and what's with the box and the bird in the box? And like, they're telling us,
and the goat,
you know, and the goat. Oh, the fucking goat!
What an amazing
that
scene,
was so
by the
great.
way.
She's like, no on the goat.
So the bird, help me out.
The bird is a proof of how Jarden is blessed.
Theoretically, except now all the birds have been dying.
Except the birds have been dying, right? So it's
since
like,
that
and the water disappeared, you know.
Yeah, since the arrival of
Nora and Kevin.
Nora and Kevin and baby.
The demon maybe.
And the
devil
demon
baby.
Azrael or Jill. I mean, we don't know.
We were just sort of theorizing. Oh, okay, well, so when the three of them arrive in town, is when the three girls disappear. But then Michelle said, oh, well, they also brought a baby, and I'm sure other people have. I mean, Matt and his wife arrived in town. Like, it's not like no one had moved in until they showed up.
We had originally discussed a theory that maybe there was a count, and the count had to stay the same because they keep saying the number of people in the town, and they won't let anyone in and out. Exactly. Yeah. So we had this discussion, and Taylor and I were debating. Like, well, do you think it's like? It's that it has to be this number of people, so these people came in, so those girls disappeared. But the baby kind of disproves that, and I don't know that I'm like.
Well, and again, Matt and Mary had already been there for a while before they got there, and nobody had disappeared.
Exactly. So. Although, does it only count if you're a resident?
Resident as opposed to the.
Oh, that's true. They were visiting.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's the issue. I don't know.
That's true. Different wristband.
And obviously, I wasn't here for this recap, but I mean, the Matt episode was great. You know.
Robert and I, he loved it. Like, he'd been kind of lukewarm on a lot of the season. Really loved that episode. I liked a lot of it, but I thought that the ending was a little on the nose. I thought actually putting him in the stocks after having already brought up the Book of Job was like,
okay, but then nice that they got out of it this quickly. Like, they didn't make a big fuss. They're like, yeah, okay, well, that
was a thing that happened.
So now they're just like all of a sudden that camp, because the first time you see Matt driving past the camp, I thought instantly, as I'm sure many did, oh, these people need help. This is a horribly. And so he figured that out too. So now it's pretty normal. Now they're like sharing everything, and he's wearing a normal shirt, and he's shaving, and they're like, they're making stew. It's like, it seems pretty awesome. In fact, it's far less tense than now all of a sudden the lack of bliss in Jordan.
True, yeah.
Except for poor Nora, who's now got his wife and a baby and a crazy husband. And
oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Again, that was one of the things of this episode of like, God, the women just have to they get the burdens thrown down on them on this.
Last thing that, by the way, the other person who arrived is Patty. Like, if we're to believe that she's there.
That's true.
And do we think that what Kevin was saying to Nora about what Patty was saying to Kevin was true, because we didn't see Patty?
Well, the thing is, they even did it on the Previously On. I don't know if you were watching it on like HBO Go or something, but on the Previously On in this episode, they remind you of Patty saying, if you love and trust your family, why won't you tell them about it?
Right, so why
would she then object when he does do it?
That's why I thought maybe it wasn't lying. I would tell you that I did have to watch on HBO On Demand. I don't want to name my cable company. It rhymes with Verizon Gaios. And I got back from my trip, and everything TiVoed is gone. Every series managing thing is gone. And I could call them and spend an hour and 27 minutes on the phone where they will...
Now, wait, to be clear, do you have a TiVo or do you have the DVR they gave you?
I have their DVR.
Okay.
So it's their product.
TiVo's
their product, and I pay for it. I'm using TiVo because I yearn for the old days of TiVo instead of their stupid, worthless product for $300 a month. You think maybe you keep the shows, some of them, and they're going to tell me everything's available on demand. But you know what? First of all, no, it isn't. Many of those were TCM movies, and they're not available on demand, all of them.
I know a guy there. I think I'll set you up.
Yeah. But also, I don't want to watch stuff on demand. Fargo, I have to watch the commercials. You can't fast forward. You can't go back, and nothing sticks. It's not the same. And I pay $300 a month, and I have 4 DVRs. The thing should work, and then you shouldn't lie to me when I call you, which I don't want to do because I'm going to spend 85 minutes on the phone. What do you give me for $300?
Apple TV is amazing. That's what I'm going to say.
But you know what? But Apple TV does it have captions? I can't find captions on Apple.
I have never tried,
but I found them.
They're really?
I found them on Netflix, so I presume you can find them.
Oh, on Netflix I found them, but not on like HBO Go on Apple TV.
Well,
let us know in the comments, because I seriously can't hear what's going on.
Totally. There's a little too much mumbling in television.
Yes!
Speak up!
What?
Huh?
Oh, and speaking of which, I did love the whole the chasing the guy without the hearing aids in. That was intense.
Oh,
what an amazing soundscape.
And now, is that guy her dad? Is that what?
Yeah, I think it's her dad.
I think it's her dad. Yeah.
I think it's her dad.
Dad. They didn't say dad. They just said relative, but I'm assuming dad.
That's my hunch.
And you get that great
With
point
the
of religion.
pies,
This
too.
guy, he doesn't deserve forgiveness. Everybody who asks for forgiveness deserves forgiveness. You're like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. All right, great stuff. As Michelle said, you got 6 days. This is it's hard to watch it this way. It is hard to watch it this way. Thanks for watching.